Hello and welcome to the Spring 2025 Student Organization Treasurers Training. My name is Amy Freeman. I am the Business Manager for Student Activities. My job is to help you manage your student org accounts and act as a guide on financial processes. My office resides within the Center for Student Involvement at 241 Kennedy Union. The CSI office hours are my working hours. I respond to emails during this time, trying to reply the same day, but generally within 1 to 2 business days. If you're watching this video, you should be a treasurer or an officer affiliated with a student organization. This training will walk you through the most common financial activities of student organizations here on UD campus. This training is mandatory each semester for all organizations. So if you are making up this video because you were not able to attend the in-person meeting, please know there will be a quiz linked at the end where you can log in and take the quiz, pass it. You have to get 18 out of 20 questions correct in order to pass. And that will mark your org's attendance for this semester. And just so you know, you can, since some officers are involved with multiple orgs, you will be able to indicate multiple orgs if necessary in the form so that all of your organizations can be logged for attending. A quick disclaimer, although the information today applies to all student organizations, there may be some differences in procedures for sports clubs or values-based fraternity and sorority life, depending upon whether there are any need for additional oversight or if you need to just adhere to additional policies. Evan Englander oversees FSL, and Jared Jermakins oversees sports clubs, so be on the lookout for communications from those individuals about policies and procedures related to your organization. Additionally, CSI holds president's meeting each semester, and that's presented by Morgan Miller. While I handle the financial activities of student organizations, Morgan oversees the other administrative functions that are geared more towards the presidential duties. If you have any questions regarding event registrations, travel rosters, flyer approvals, and such, please reach out to Morgan for more direction. This semester for spring, the president's meeting is going to be held on January 23rd in person in the KU ballroom. If you or another officer from your organization can't make the president's training in person, please reach out to Morgan about how you can make up the meeting as it is required, just like the treasurer's meeting is required each semester. Our agenda today, we're going to start off by defining our student org accounts. We'll go over your role as treasurer. We'll talk about how you can manage your money for your organization through 1850. We'll talk about how you can make purchases and request reimbursements. We'll go over how to deposit funds and accept donations. We'll have some travel information. And we'll also go over the funding opportunities that we've had available for this semester and generally every semester. And then at the end, we're going to go over very briefly a couple of demos on 1850 and runway. And then at the end, this is obviously a slide from my in-person meeting. At the end, I'll have the quiz link posted, and that's how we'll document your attendances by completion of that quiz, like I said earlier. So that'll be available towards the end. So let's begin by defining student org accounts. Student organizations are an important part of the University of Dayton community. Financial activity of the clubs on campus are seen as financial activity of the university. Therefore, it is important that treasurers or anyone else who makes purchases on behalf of a student organization exercise sound judgment when executing or authorizing expenditures, regardless of the source of funds. Also, purchasing decisions should be made by being mindful of the university's mission and commitments. All organizations are assigned a unique focal string. This is an account number or accounting code that represents where your organization's money sits within the general ledger. The general ledger is the complete record of all university financial transactions. All student organizations must manage money in accordance with the university spending policies, and those policies are laid out in 1850 under the Student Organization Resource Guide, which we also refer to as the SORG. And I'll show you where that's at a little later. Your responsibility as a treasurer is to obviously oversee the management of the financial affairs of your organization. You will be responsible for initiating financial transaction requests in 1850. You will complete those transactions, or you can delegate purchasing activity to other student members. It will be your responsibility also to manage your cash flow and track your revenue and expenses. Just a quick note, transactions do not update right away, and they do not post to 1850 right away. Sometimes there is a little bit of time before those transactions get updated. So we strongly urge treasurers to keep their own checkbook, essentially. You need to record and keep your own record of transactions aside from 1850. That way, you know, you can manage your money a little more appropriately. And that's a way then, of course, that you won't overspend, right? So we generally will use 1850 just to kind of check off what your transactions against your own records, and that's how we can catch any kind of discrepancy should there be any mistakes. Again, 1850 we use to initiate transactions, but again, please keep your own record. That way you have a more accurate snapshot of your transactions and your balances at any point in time. All right, so managing your student org finances. These following 5 points are the foundation of how you'll conduct your organization's finances. First is 1850. This platform defines and tracks your student org's members, your events, your financial activity, etc. For treasurers, you'll use 1850 to make requests to spend money, track your balances, and also utilize the student organization financial management tool. P-card purchases. The CSI P-card is the most common option for purchasing. We currently have 4 purchasing cards available on a first-come, first-served basis. Usage is requested through 1850. There are rules to govern their use, for which an acknowledgement form must be signed, and we'll cover that a little later. Next is Runway. This is the university's procurement platform that helps execute other expenditures. You can, through Runway, generate purchase orders for upcoming or anticipated expenses. You'll use Runway to shop and purchase from approved vendors directly through punch outs, or you can use it to submit invoices for payments to pay external suppliers for goods and services. And an example of that is paying chapter dues. Runway can be used also to process reimbursements for students not employed by the university. For this could be for travel and non-travel related expenses. This is in case a student has used a personal payment method to make a purchase on behalf of their group, keeping in mind that we do not reimburse for sales tax. But otherwise, non-UD employees can use Runway currently to recoup any expenses, like I said, for travel or non-travel. We do have Chrome River. If you, well, it's now being called Embers Enterprise. This was formerly Chrome River. If you have heard of that, it's now being called Embers. So we might use that interchangeably, Chrome River or Embers. At any rate, this is for those of you who are student employees. If you need to have a reimbursement for travel or non-travel related expenses that you've used a personal payment method and you need to get your money back, you will use Chrome River. Just a note though that eventually everyone will be moved to Chrome River or Embers Enterprise. This process will happen eventually. Timing is unknown. I was told it would be the beginning or sometime in January, but I have still not gotten any word of that move yet. We will update you when that time comes. So eventually, all students will use Chrome River for reimbursements. Until then, you'll use Runway if you're not employed by the UD, by the university in any capacity. You will use Embers if you are employed by the university. And lastly, here we have revenue, and that just consists of collecting deposits, donations, fundraising, proceeds, etc. And we're going to cover more of these in depth as we go. So starting with 1850 here, on the following slide, I'm going to show you a little bit of the homepage navigation where you're going to find the announcements, the SORG, a quick link to the financial management tool, and I'll show you where the videos and how-to videos and forms are where they're located. When we go over the demo later, we'll cover how to update your officers in 1850. If you have not updated your role as a treasurer in 1850 yet, please do that as soon as possible. This is important because CSI relies on that list to make contact to the appropriate officer when we need to ask a question. And it also ensures that you are getting the correspondence from CSI, specifically the weekly student leader emails that have important information and updates throughout the year. So again, please, if you haven't yet, update yourself in 1850. If you don't mark yourself as a treasurer, because not all orgs are run as president, treasurer, etc., at least mark yourself as an officer, and that will ensure that you get those communications every week when we mail those out. Logging into 1850, if you're not familiar yet, you can access it at 1850.udayton.edu. This is a sample of the welcome page. Again, 1850 is where you'll originate nearly all of your financial requests. So I urge you to log on and spend some time getting acquainted with its functions if you haven't already. So very quickly, we have under this red bar here, we're going to have announcements as those become available. In the middle here under the green, that's the SORG. That's where you can find your policies and procedures for student organizations. And then here is a quick link under the purple bar to the financial management tool. There's another area we can find this as well in your orgs page, and I'll show you that later. Below, you have some forms and some how-to videos, your financial processes. There's also some other like FSL forms and things like that. So check that out if you need some guidance. So the financial management tool, this is a handy resource you'll use in managing your org's money. This tool was designed to walk you through step by step any financial transactions you're trying to make. You'll use this tool on the 1850, you'll find this tool on the 1850 homepage like I just showed you. And again, you'll find it under your money tab in your landing page. It's a big red button there, and I'll show you later, like I said, where you can find that. As you can gather from this screenshot, the tool asks questions related to the transaction you're wanting to make, and then will progressively narrow you down to get to the appropriate process. A special note here, please use this tool in lieu of emailing me questions on how to initiate a transaction. 100%, it's a more efficient use of your time, as the tool will get you a quicker answer on the process than waiting for my email return, which can take a couple days. In fact, probably after the end of this month, if I get some generic questions about how to do things, I will respond by only referring you to the tool. Again, it's just a little more efficient, and everyone needs to kind of get acquainted with those functions. Now, if you use the tool and you find that you still need assistance, there's always something that comes up that's a little complicated, or maybe a special situation. Obviously, I'm not going to dissuade you from contacting me. Absolutely reach out. But for more, basic functions, please start by using the tool. Excuse me. Moving on to the 1850 financial request form. All purchase requests must be submitted through the 1850 financial request form, and that is this blue button right here in the middle in that screenshot. The financial management tool will lead you here and will show you how to use the blue button. So this red button right here, that's your financial management tool. And then, like I said, it will show you how to use the blue button. So after you submit your request, it will show up in our CSI workflow, where the staff, usually me, will communicate any approvals, denials, requests for either corrections or more information. Typically, we try to work with you on approving your request rather than just denying it. So if we have questions after you submit something, we'll always reach out. If we aren't clear, or if we don't have a P card available at the time and date that you requested, we'll reach out and try to see if we can come up with a new date or another way to get you to pay for whatever expense you're looking for. Again, always looking to help you rather than deny you. Both these functions, like I said, the tool and the request a payment button, those are seen together under the budgeting tab, under your money tab in your org's landing page. And again, I'll show you a little bit how to use those functions later. Lastly, this is not the financial request form to request the use of your SGA award. If you have applied for SGA funding and you get an award, this blue button is not where you're going to enter your financial request form. For SGA, there's a different area. When we do the live demo, I'll try to see if anyone has any funding yet. That's the only way I'll be able to show you. So I'll look for that when we get into that live demo. And for those of you who are looking to use an SGA award, hopefully I can point that out to you. Otherwise, SGA should give you some guidance on this, on how to request funding. If not, you can always reach out to them directly for guidance. Excuse me. The org's accounting stream we refer to as a FOPL. This is not automatically assigned. This has to be requested. So if you are a newer org that just got established and you did not ask Morgan Miller to set you up with a FOPL, you won't be. So that needs to be requested. So reach out to him if you need to be, if you plan on conducting financial transactions. Not all organizations do. So that's why we don't automatically assign. So reach out to Morgan if you are interested in getting a FOPL. And that usually, once we get it requested, generally it takes about 5 business days or so. So yeah, so if you are not assigned a FOPL already and interested, again, reach out to Morgan. He'll get you situated with that. So the FOPL stands for Fund, Organization, Account, Program, Activity, and Location. This fund number that is specific to your organization. The set of organization numbers here, those indicate whether you're a student organization or a sports club. And then I'm going to skip over the account just real quick. The last three, the program, activity, location, those areas here, these will generally always be the same. The only thing that varies will be this account code. So depending upon whether you're collecting your revenue or you're expensing your account, that will dictate what code you have. Now, generally, like if you reach out to facilities and you're trying to rent a space, they're going to ask you for your FOPL. They may already know that account code for you and fill it in. Never sweat it. You can always reach out to us and ask. Runway, if you're putting in transactions there, it'll allow you to search. Do your best. If I get a Runway cart and I feel that the account code is not correct, I'll just make the change and it's not a big deal. So, but I just want you to know that this is the only part of your FOPL that will vary. And again, that just depends on your transaction type. And if you ever need your FOPL, you can always use the financial management tool to find it. And I'll show you where that is at later. So moving on to P cards. Again, this is our most popular form of spending. The CSI office has 4 purchasing cards. These are available for approved non-runway purchases. This comes in handy for in-store purchases or online purchases where no sales tax is applied. For example, making an in-store purchase at Joann Fabrics for craft supplies would warrant the use of a P card. Online purchases with a P card can be for approved. Those can be approved if the vendor is not already a supplier in Runway, making sure that this sale is tax exempt. If they are a supplier in Runway, you must use the platform in lieu of a P card. To reserve a card, a student must fill out the financial request form in 1850. If approved, you will receive an approval email confirming the date and time you can pick up the card from the CSI office. The number of cards are limited and available on a first come, first served basis, as I said before. So this is for nearly 300 student organizations, so planning is important. The purchaser will be asked to read and sign a P card acknowledgement form before they leave with the P card. This acknowledgement form will list all the rules associated with its use. Gordon Food Service, we do have GFS cards available. This is an option over P cards when buying groceries or bulk food or snacks through the supplier. All organizations with a FOPL should have a GFS purchase order already assigned to them. CSI keeps a file with these cards that are for use only at GFS and are available by request using the same path as you would requesting a P card. And that's in 1850. Approval emails are sent once your reservation is set up, and you will sign the same acknowledgement form just like the P card. So I spoke about the acknowledgement form for P cards. Access to P cards is a privilege for our student organization. So it is the responsibility of the purchasing orgs to follow all the rules and regulations associated with using it. I have some of the rules listed here. It's not an exhaustive list, but rather what I find to be the most important or the most offended rules. So first of all purchases must be tax exempt, whether it's in store or in person. I will supply you with everything you need to make that happen. It's either with little cards for our accounts that are already set up with local vendors, or you'll be equipped with a tax exempt form for the university that you can present either to the online vendor by email or presenting in person as well. If you are signing out a card, but someone else is going to use the card, you need to let me know that. We generally frown upon exchanging the card between members. So just, I don't have it, it's not a big deal to me. If you sign out on behalf of someone else, you just need to let me know, please. No additional purchases should be made outside of the 1850 request. If you need to make additional purchases while you're out and about, and you already have the card, please contact me first just to make sure that the card has an available balance to uphold that purchase. There is no carryout or off-campus catering orders permitted on a P card. The university requires that you use America to Go and Runway for all off-campus catering requests. So this Bill's Donuts seems to be every semester an org wants to use a P card to go to Bill's Donuts for, food for an event or whatnot, and it's just not permitted. We ask that you use America to Go or check out a P card to go to the grocery store and get donuts at the grocery. If you purchase gift cards for an event to award as prizes, they cannot exceed $100 per recipient. That is a university policy. It does also require some additional reporting because gift cards are considered a taxable income. So if you tell me that you're going to go pick up some gift cards, I'll usually reach out to you and say, hey, I'm going to need this extra information for every recipient, usually their name, UD, email, and UID number. And that way purchasing and procurement can record the income for that individual. When you return the P cards, they're usually due back by 10 a.m. the following business day after you check it out. And we require that you turn in an itemized tax-exempt receipt with the card, or if you've made a purchase online, you need to email that to me right away. And then if policies are not followed, the org is responsible for immediate correction, or else the organization may be penalized. And usually that is in the form of blocking any kind of P card, future P card or GFS reservations for a particular time frame, depending upon the offense. So please keep that in mind. And we're going to move on to runway. Let me see here. So runway is the university's e-procurement site. This is where you can make purchases from approved vendors or suppliers. Through Runway, organizations can pay for national dues, request travel or non-travel reimbursements for non-UD employed students, This is a newer function. If you're a veteran, we used to use TER forms for travel reimbursement used out. So anyone who is not employed by the university for a reimbursement, you're going to use Runway now. Again, that's for travel and non-travel. You can also make donations to external organizations through Runway. You can set up purchase orders for regular or anticipated expenses. And now you can also access Amazon and shop through Amazon directly through Runway. All students are assigned a shopper role. If you create a card on behalf of your student org, you should assign it to me. You assign that runway card to me. For student organizations, if you are a sports club, you will assign it to Jared Jermakins for approval. The way to access Runway is on porches, and it's now there used to be a link to the right towards the top of the porches homepage. Now it's under popular links. You can see a little example here. So if you don't have access to porches for whatever reason, you can also get to it by typing in go.udayton.edu/runway. So reimbursements. This is an expansion on some previous comments. Purchases should be made in runway through a vendor or by P card as a first choice. However, there are some occasions where reimbursement can be requested for student org members. For non-UD employees, like we've said before, all travel, non-travel, any type of reimbursements like that should be processed in runway, keeping in mind that you'll use the homepage tile on runway titled reimbursements UDRI and others. That's kind of an update. It used to be called, I think, just reimbursements or employee reimbursements previously. So again, if you're a veteran and you haven't been doing many financial processes lately, that did change last semester. So that's the title of the tile you'll be looking for. Payees are called suppliers in runway. And students are not automatically set up as a supplier. They are set up as a shopper, but not a supplier. That has to be requested by the student. Reimbursement requests can't be processed until they are successfully set up as a supplier. If a student needs to be set up to be a supplier, they can sign into Runway, select add a supplier. I'll show you this example later with the demo. And then you just essentially follow the prompts to complete the setup. It usually takes 3 to 5 business days to complete. So fairly quick turnaround time. And again, that's if you've submitted it and there are no issues with the form. Again, that financial management tool can walk you through the process if needed. If you are a student employee, you will not be eligible to use Runway for any kind of reimbursement, whether it's travel or non-travel. You must use Embers or Chrome River. Eventually, everyone will be in Embers, like I said before. And again, we're going to communicate with you when that happens. But for now, if you are employed by the university, you're going to use Embers or Chrome River is what it used to be called. And then if you are not employed by the university, just a note that reimbursements will not be approved if they violate university purchasing policy. And again, sales tax is not a reimbursable expense. So if you're submitting a receipt with sales tax in Runway or Chrome River, which is going to accompany your reimbursement request, right? You will only be reimbursed for the subtotal or before tax amount. So please keep that in mind. So moving on to income or revenue. There are a few different types of ways to earn income. You can collect membership dues and accept donations. You can get money through fundraising activities, charging event entry fees, and also through university account transfers, whether it's from another department on campus that's granting you some funding, or if you need to, you have some joint expenses for alongside another organization, you can exchange money between orgs as well to share costs. In order to give a receipt for a tax-deductible donation, donations must be made through university advancement, not CSI. These types of donations can be paid by check or credit card at go.udayton.edu/give. You just have to make sure that your donors put your org's name in the comments when they go to the site and try to pay. Donations not requesting a tax deduction can be brought directly to CSI, and we'll put them right into your org funds. So for example, if somebody writes you $20 to donate to your org, they might not be concerned with having a tax write-off. But if a company wants to make, a sizable donation, $500,000, $5,000, whatever, so sizable donation, then they want to request a tax deductible. If they want to record that as a tax deductible donation, they must go to university advancement and process the donation in that way. Funds collected by your organization on behalf of another nonprofit organization external to UD should not be deposited. We encourage you to send donors to the nonprofit directly. However, if your organization has an event and raises some money and then they wish to donate it to an external organization, just understand that the receiving organization must be set up as a supplier and runway. So you have to go through that supplier. You may have to go through that supplier setup process. There must be an invoice to accompany the payment request in runway. And sometimes that means you have to create one yourself. That in that case, I will just refer you to a Microsoft Word template for an invoice, have you create one, and then that gets uploaded into the form. Some sort of invoice needs to be uploaded in order for this to get processed. And as always, you can contact me for guidance on how to do that. A newer function offered to student orgs to make selling products a little easier is TouchNet Marketplace. This could be good if you have an event where you're selling items so that buyers can scan a code to pay as opposed to logging into 1850 to access your org's store, which can sometimes be cumbersome. For example, if you bought a Christmas on Campus shirt recently, either this year or last year, this is the process that they used. And when you have TouchNet set up, the money will go into your org funds usually within a few days of receipt. And as always, if you are interested and need some guidance with TouchNet, you can reach out to us and we'll try to get you hooked up with that. Deposits into student org accounts. All income that is generated should be deposited in your student organization account within 2 business days of collection. That prevents anything happening such as money coming up missing, money being lost or whatnot. You should go ahead and deposit those things out of security, especially in the case of cash. Cash or checks can be brought to the CSI office. Again, that's in Kennedy Union 241. Please do this during regular business hours, preferably by appointment, especially if you have cash. Again, that's just so we can count the cash together, make sure we agree. And then I'll help you with the deposit slip, and I make the deposit after I record your transaction. So it's important to note, prior to that, should say checks should be made out to the University of Dayton - your club's name. And then important to note, funds not deposited through this established procedure cannot be guaranteed trackable by CSI. So yes, you are welcome to go over to St. Mary's and drop off your funds, make the deposit yourself. But if something happens and I don't have a record of it, I really can't help you. You'd have to work with them directly on recovering your transaction should it, go to the wrong account or whatnot. So again, we prefer that you bring them here so that we can make a record of it and have as much documentation support as possible should anything go awry. Orgs can create a store in 1850 to accept credit card payments. For example, this was a good way for people to pay their member dues. And you can set some event fees up as well. There is a video in 1850 homepage on how to do this, but just reach out to us if you need to for a little more guidance. Currently, now we're moving on to imprinting. Currently, we have 2 approved vendors on UD campus for any imprinted goods. First, we have OmniSource. So if your group's interested in having t-shirts, sweatshirts, or any apparel or promotional items made, you can only use these 2 vendors I'm about to discuss. OmniSource, you can visit promo.udayton.edu, or you can find a showcase button in Runway and you can enter your order directly through their site. Also, you can contact Megan Works or Joanne Chang as indicated on this slide. If you are using Pepsi grant funding, if you get awarded that this semester, this is the only vendor that you can use. They're the only ones with permission currently to use the Pepsi logos. So any grant funding purchases like t-shirts and such that you're going to use Pepsi funding for, you need to use OmniSource. But also keep in mind that OmniSource, their contract just expired with UD and they will be replaced. I believe it's going to be with a company called Consolidus. And when that happens, they should also be set up in runway with a punch out in the showcase area. And also they will have permissions to use the Pepsi logos. So when that happens, we will do our best to communicate probably through the student weekly leader email that we send out each week. But at any rate, keep an eye out for updates on when this gets switched over. We also have University Tees. That's currently our newer vendor, and also becoming a very popular one. We do not have University Tees set up in Runway yet. So you'll need to contact them either through the website listed here, or you can email Maggie Phelps. She will put you in contact with a campus student rep on campus, and they will help you get your order together. I will tell you that they have been the feedback I've gotten from other students, they've been wonderful to work with, quality materials, quality products in general. So a quick turnaround time, good on pricing. So that's a great place to start for your imprinting needs, provided you don't need to use Pepsi grant funding for your purchase. And as always, you need to plan ahead for best pricing to make sure your order arrives on time. That's very important as well. So moving on to travel. All travel requires completion and approval of event registration and risk management forms in 1850. You must have the event approved in 1850 before reserving any lodging, transportation, or registration fees or flights. Once the event is approved, student organizations must submit a financial request for travel purchases in 1850. If you're not sure how to begin, start with that financial management tool. It'll guide you through the process of booking all your accommodations. Just a special note, student organizations cannot travel with a P card to charge additional travel expenses, nor can they make cash withdrawals against org funds prior to the trip. Most all arrangements will be purchased upfront or before the travel begins, such as your airline, your lodging, your car rentals. However, should a traveler incur additional expenses on the trip, such as mileage or fuel, meals, parking fees, students can request to be reimbursed through Runway or Emburse, or also known as Chrome River, depending upon your employment status with the university. Original itemized receipts are required to be submitted with reimbursement requests, regardless of which platform you're using. Those get uploaded directly into the platform, and that financial management tool will guide you through it. And always, purchases must follow all university and CSI policies. And the guidelines, for example, no alcohol is permitted, especially as a reimbursable expense. So Amtrav, this is a new vendor for travel. Previously, we used Options Travel, or students would use the student organization hotel booking site through the financial request form. If you're used to the old process, please understand that it's changing. Once you receive an event approval for org travel and you're ready to proceed with booking accommodations, you will use an Excel travel form, an Excel travel spreadsheet, which is accessible in the 1850 financial request form. As soon as you select that you are doing hotels or airfare, it will populate for you You'll download the spreadsheet and complete it with all the traveler information. And then also you'll need to put in your travel preferences. What's your preferred hotel? What dates are you traveling? You have to fill out the entire form with all this information so that we can accurately make the reservations for you. Please understand we do not shop accommodations for you, so you need to be proactive and have the flights picked out, the hotels picked out, and such. If we find that flights or hotels are booked up when we try to proceed with the purchase, we'll contact you with alternative options and definitely keep you in the loop as we work through the form. But again, especially when it comes to flights, be sure that all your traveler information is correct, because making flight corrections is very costly, and it is your responsibility to get those to us accurately, get that information to us accurately so that we can get you sorted. Let's see. Oh yes, and those Amtrav is usually booked by Lacey Burdett here in our office. So if you do see correspondence from Lacey and you've submitted travel, please pay attention to that and respond to her as quickly as possible, so that she can get you booked. If you're getting a block rate through the hotel or the event sponsor, we can just put that on a P card. So you'll just request a P card in 1850, and we'll set you up with a time and date to come in, use the P card, book your rooms, and we don't use Amtrav in that case. And lastly, this is a newer process for us, and we're still kind of trying to work out some kinks. We've been pretty successful so far, but please be patient with us as we work through this process because we are still learning. Moving on to ground transportation, the university has some vehicles that are available for student orgs. This is a low or no cost option for organizations. They do provide different types of vehicles, anything from automobiles up to passenger vans. Gas cards are provided with university vehicles, and that's nice. So you don't have to spend anything out of pocket while you're traveling, and there's no reimbursement form to deal with when you get back. Keep in mind that there is an 800-mile travel limit. So if your travel exceeds that mileage, you will be forced to rent a car or find another way to go. Also, all travelers must complete the driver certification found in Porches, and I'll speak a little more on that in the next slide. Quantity is limited, so planning's key. Here are the steps when reserving a UD vehicle. First, you're going to go to the vehicle rental request form. You can search for that in Porches. Just be sure to list your faculty or staff advisor in the comments section. Your faculty or staff advisor then reaches out to Sandra Harris directly in purchasing via email to confirm the travel has been approved. If you have a last minute travel situation, Sandra asks that your advisor call her directly at the number listed here on the screen. And this has to be after the vehicle request form is submitted. That has to be submitted no matter what. And then she's going to try to help you the best she can. She's wonderful to work with in my experience, so she'll do the best for you she can. If you need more information on van safety guidelines, you can search vehicle management in Porches and learn a little bit more there. The other option for ground transportation is renting a vehicle through Enterprise Rental Car. The university does have a contract with them. And to reserve a vehicle, you're just going to fill out the financial request form in 1850 and select the option for Enterprise Rental Car. And from there, you're going to choose your vehicles, copy and paste the details, including the time and date of pickup and returns. Paste that all in the comment box. And then that comes to me, and I make the reservation and put it on my P card. It is required that there are at least 2 certified drivers per reservation, so please keep that in mind. Generally, we do select, when reserving cars, we select the Dayton Mall location for pickup on Springboro Pike and Miamisburg, but it is also dependent on vehicle availability. And also driver certifications, like I said, are required. As mentioned, drivers must be at least 21 years of age or older, even for enterprise, despite the fact that it says 25 years of age or older on their site. You must be 21 or older. The link to complete the certification can be found on the Audit, Risk, and Compliance page, or you can search driver certification on the UD website. So just some miscellaneous info. Again, University of Dayton is a 501c3 tax exempt organization, so no purchases should have tax. And no reimbursements can include tax as well, except for in the case of fuel. For gift taxing, cash or gift cards greater than $1 are considered a gift, and they are taxable for the recipient. Gift cards can't exceed $100 per recipient. And if you do issue gift cards, purchase and then issue at your event, you need to respond back to us with their student name, student email, and a UID. All other non-cash awards, gifts, or prizes valued at $100 or more are also considered taxable, and that requires the same kind of reporting as gift cards. And also, do not purchase items that are intended for individual members with the intention of being reimbursed. That's prohibited. When it comes to contracted services, any contracts or agreements must be reviewed by CSI, and currently the only one who can sign those contracts is Carrie Wallace, who's the Assistant VP for Student Development. Formerly, that was Amy Lopez Matthews, who has since retired. So if you're familiar with Amy Lopez Matthews, just know that now Carrie is carrying those duties until we get a replacement. So moving on to funding opportunities, I'm going to talk about SGA funding, Pepsi Grant, and Flyer Funder. All 3 of these funding sources are typically available each fall and spring semester. Starting with SGA, actually SGA funding closed on Tuesday at midnight, but last semester and this semester, orgs were eligible for up to $800 in funding. Sometimes that funding limit fluctuates. It just depends on obviously how much funding we receive to disperse to student orgs. So that amount can change going forward. In the fall, it may be 1,000, it may be less, who knows. And usually these grants, they need to be used within the semester that they've been granted. You cannot roll it over to another semester. If you have applied for the spring funding, you can then, you're eligible to also apply for $1,000 extra in addition to the spring funding. This is special request funding. You must, like I said, have applied for the spring funding first, and this is only granted annually. So you can only do it once per fall or spring semester, right? And then additionally, there is a student engagement grant. Again, that deadline did pass this last Tuesday, but that is for an additional $200 a year to individuals, and that's usually something to help them pay for dues for the club that they're involved in. So if you have any questions, please email the SGA finance team, or you can visit them at KU 206. Usually it's Chris Fishpaw or Colette Looney who manage these SGA awards, and they should be able to help you navigate their processes or answer questions about the award that maybe aren't clear when you're doing, going through their guidelines online. Pepsi funding. This is also usually available in the fall and spring. Typically, we say that you can apply for up to $500 towards your organization's event or program. The deadline for spring funding is Friday, January 24th at the close of business. So there is a link to the Google application to apply for Pepsi funding that is available in the weekly student leader email that usually comes out each Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday. Approval emails will be sent out by the following Friday. I try to get them out by Wednesday. And again, like SGA funding, the award must be used within the semester it's granted. You cannot carry it over to the following semester. If you have any questions about that Pepsi funding, I actually do manage that. So if you want to reach out to me directly, or you can reach out on the Student Org Money email account with whatever questions you have about Pepsi, and I'm happy to get back with you on it. And lastly, we have Flyer Funder. This is a crowdfunding option for our campus. This funding is available from the Department of Annual Giving. So it's not funded or managed by CSI. It was suspended back in the fall, but they're back in motion this semester. Here is one of the flyers, and I have plenty here in my office should you need additional flyers. This will give you scan your little QR code. It's probably going to take you to their site and tell you a little bit more about what they do. If you have an idea for some sort of project or activity, whatever, and you're looking for funding that can't be supplied by SGA or Pepsi, please go ahead and reach out to them. Again, I don't manage it, so I can't really answer a lot of questions. I think they have another flyer here. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I can't answer a lot of questions about it, but if you reach out to them, they should be able to help you with no problem. Let me see here. So let's, at this time, try to go over some of the live demos. So I'm going to start with 1850, and I'm going to go to my homepage. Great. So here's another shot of what that 1850 homepage looks like. Again, we've got your announcements here under the red, the SORG is under the green, your financial management tool quick link is here on under the purple. Down below, you've got your forms and some how-to videos, etc. should you need a little extra guidance. But let's start by, I'm going to use Sigma Epsilon as an example today. So I just searched up the organization. I'm now on the landing page. In the middle are your more frequently used or little tiles here in the middle, right? And then alongside on the left, you're going to have the same options. So let's start by going under the dashboard, and I'm going to slide the officers, and this is going to show who the officers are and what position they hold. So again, you know, not all organizations run with a president, a vice president, a treasurer. Sometimes it's just a bunch of officers, and that's fine. The important thing is that you are selecting that you are an officer if you're not a treasurer. That way you are in the queue to get any correspondence we mail out. If it's blank, you may not get any correspondence. So if you're not a treasurer, at least say that you're an officer. And then that you'll should be in good shape then. And then let's go over here again to the left, and I'm going to slide to the money page. And here under money, it defaults to the accounting book. You're going to have your financial management tool, the red button. That's quick button there to get to that tool. Underneath that is your accounting book, and this is going to have your funding lines. So as you can see here, we've got a spring 2025 funding line for SGA, and then the special request funding. And if this org is awarded anything, it will populate over here where the balance is. And then your org funds, that's anything that you are collecting through dues, donations, etc. That's going to be that money here, right? So the only thing we're not going to see here is a Pepsi funding line. Generally, if you are awarded Pepsi funds and you choose to expense your Pepsi award, I just apply a FOPL to that for Pepsi, and so it never really comes through your org fund. So please, that's a question I get asked a lot. Where's my Pepsi funding? You're not going to get that. I keep track of it on my own. And in the 1850 financial request form, there is an option if you want to use your Pepsi award. Should you, excuse me, should you be awarded funds? There is an option to select the use of Pepsi funds in the form. So moving down here, we've got the transactions. And this is just your ledger of revenue and expenses. Again, I just want to make sure everyone knows that transactions don't always show up right away. I think I mentioned that before. So it's your responsibility as a treasurer to track your financial activity separate from the 1850 log. For example, P cards, if you have any sort of P card expenditures through the month of January, let's say, and if you're not recording it on your own, you may overspend because the 1850 is not going to document that transaction for the P card expense until the following month. And that's just due to the way UD reconciles their credit cards at the beginning, the first week or the first couple of days of the following month after the close of business on that month. So again, I can't, this is an issue. A lot of times people don't take into account that lag. They see a balance in 1850 and they think, oh my gosh, we got $500, even though they spent $450 on a P card the previous month. And then they end up overspending. So please, again, keep a separate run of your transactions, whether it's by hand or a spreadsheet or whatever you need to use to prevent any kind of overspending. Because, like I said, those transactions may take some time to update in the system. And also, if you find any kind of error as you're going through or what you perceive to be an error, you can always reach out to Student Org's Money. Please give as much detail as you can so that we can try to help. And we'll see what we can do and make necessary adjustments if applicable. So that's the accounting book area. So I'm going to slide over here on the left, go down to budgeting. And now we have a red button. We also have that payment request button that leads us to the financial request form. Again, this red button coaches you on how to use the blue button. And this blue button is where you originate all your requests to spend money. So let's start with opening up the tool, and we're going to find quickly, let's say you want to make a deposit and you want to find your FOPL. So I open up the tool, it's asking me what I want to do. I'm going to click on I need my FOPL. I'm looking for organization funds because I want to make a deposit. And then I'm going to find my org. So let me say my Epsilon, there we go. And so here we go. So we've got sigma, epsilon, and here is the FOPL that I would use for a deposit. The 632000, that is an account code, and that stands for deposits. So if I was going to turn a FOPL into facilities, it would not be the 632 number. It would be another number, probably beginning with an 8. Again, Never sweat this too much. You can always reach out to me if you need to, but usually, especially if you're purchasing on campus, they're going to have that code for you anyway. But this is an example of how you can get the FOPL. And I generally say use this just to make sure we're especially not only getting your org right, but also, I'm sorry, your fund number right, but also getting your organization code right as well, because this differs between if you are a sports club or your regular student organization. So, and then I'm going to quickly go over how to use the tool to do a reimbursement. I'm not going to get super in depth on this. I'm just going to kind of show you for those who are a little more visual and learning that way, you know, you have a grasp of what's going on. So say I have a receipt, I spent some of my own money for my org and I want to get a reimbursement. So it's going to ask, what do I want to do? I'm going to use this tile here where it says request a reimbursement. I'm using my organization funds. I'm finding my org. This is correct. And which would you like to perform? I'm going to request a reimbursement. And then it's going to start walking you through the process. Is the person being reimbursed currently employed by UD? And in this case, I'm going to say no. And it's going to tell me to go to Runway. And there's a direct link there. And at any time you can click these show me's and it should show you like this in this particular case, this brings you to the Runway training guide. And then they're asking, is the individual in Runway or not? I'm going to say that they are in Runway. And it looks like they've updated this tile or this tool since the last time I was in here. So it's going to show you which tile to use, which is the reimbursements.udri and others. And then you continue, and it's just going to walk you through all the steps, including how to put in your FOPL, which is always important. Please do not submit a cart to me and Runway without putting in your FOPL or business purpose. I cannot guess what org you're trying to pay from, and I can't guess your business purpose. So please be sure those things are entered to prevent delay of processing. Otherwise, I have to return it back to you for correction. So again, this is what it looks like as you're walking through the tool. It's giving you some nice direction and screenshots. And at the end, it'll tell you to assign the cart to me. You can search me by last and first name only. If it's a sports club you're spending from, then you will need to assign it to Jared Jermakins. And if you are spending SGA funding through a Runway cart, you will need to assign it to Christopher Fishpaw, okay? And there should be more guidance from them on how to do these processes. So yeah, so you assign it to me, and then, I just missed the last tile, but this essentially, it tells you you've got to go back into 1850 now that you've done the Runway cart, and you've got to do a payment request, or I'm sorry, request a payment option, fill out that financial request form and submit that. So that shows up in my workflow and I know that there's something to do in Runway. And that's it for how to use that tool. I mean, obviously there's tons of other things you can do, but that's just a quick example of that. Okay, so now I'm going to go here to the request a payment button to access the financial request form and very quickly show you how you can request a P card, since that is usually the most frequent request. So I'm going to find my Sigma Sigma Epsilon group. So let's just say I want to go buy some supplies at Walmart for an upcoming event. So I'm choosing Sigma Sigma Epsilon as my group. This is where it's going to ask you what fund you're using. So here's that Pepsi grant funding. Should you be awarded that, need to use that. If you're a sport club, you should be using the sport club function here. If you try to select SGA, it's going to tell you no, and there's a different process for that, and you use the tool for guidance. In this case, we're using org funds, so I'm going to click that. Next. And I'm going to make a purchase. And I'm going to say it's other goods and services. And just a quick mention again about Amazon. Amazon cannot be put on a P card, and they really frown upon reimbursing individuals for Amazon purchases. We have a tax exempt account in Runway, and you can access Amazon and directly purchase from there on behalf of your org. So please use that if you are looking to purchase from Amazon. And in this case, I'm saying you want a P card or Runway, and we're going with P card. Next. And then it's going to ask if you're online or in store. In this case, we're going in store. It's going to ask for a phone number. Am I going to GFS? No, but if I was going to GFS, this of course is going to be where I would request that card. And then it's going to say what store am I going to? I'm going to go to Walmart. And what are you purchasing? Party supplies for upcoming recruitment event. Something to that. Be brief but concise. And then you can pick out a time and date to pick up the card. Usually we start, because P cards are due back at 10 a.m., we don't start reservations going out until 10 a.m. So I'm going to choose 10:30. I'll click understand, and then you'll sign your card or sign your form here. You'll click next, and then it's going to come to the workflow. And when we get that request, we're going to look at the calendar. If we have availability, you're going to receive an approval email from Student Org's Money email account telling you, confirming the date and time to pick up the card. If something happens and I'm booked, again, I'm going to reach out to you and try to make it work some other way, whether it's a different date or whatnot. We have some other options. But anyhow, that's how you will request that P card. Making sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah, I think that covers that. So I'm going to actually go to Runway now and start that demo. So Runway, that is the university's preferred means to make org purchases. In the middle here, we've got some showcase buttons. Here's America to Go. Next to it is Amazon. Down below, we have the different forms. So non-catalog forms for over or under $10,000. This is for, say you're working with Primetime Party Rental for equipment for an event, and they give you a quote. You're going to use either one of these depending upon the amount, upload the quote, complete the form, that generates a PO, and then when you get the invoice, we just pay it. If you need to pay someone else or another vendor outside of the university, you will use the payment request. That's if you have an invoice that you need to pay. And then here's the reimbursement button, and this requires receipts. So we don't use this bottom button here for IRB, or for research, for the research leg of the university. We just usually deal with these top four here. Again, non-catalogs are for quotes. Payment requests is if you have an invoice to pay, and the reimbursements is if you have reimbursements to pay to an individual. So let's quickly, I'm going to show you Amazon. If you click that button, it should take you right to a Prime account. And you should already be set up. You might have to do a little bit of some sort of setup in the beginning. I did it just fine without any kind of guidance, so I'm sure you can too. I'm just going to randomly pick something here. I just kind of want to show what it's like um, to process the punch out. So I put this in my cart. I'm going to go to proceed to checkout. Here, I'm going to review my information, making sure that I've got the right item down here in the right quantity. I'm going to submit my order for approval. You might have to click this a couple times. Just depends. But when I do click that, it's going to bring me back to Runway and it's created a cart for me. So again, I'm going to review this item that I'm purchasing. If it's correct, I'm going to click proceed to checkout. And this is what I want to show you. Here is your checkout page. This is where you're going to enter your FOPL string using the 1850 financial management tool for guidance on that. You can click here on the pencil and you can start adding in. If you don't know the actual number, you can look it up. Sigma. Let's see what they got there. Here we are. That is correct. Then you can use your org. You can put in your org, the account number here. Say I don't know what the account code is, right? Because this is the one that varies. This depending upon what I'm purchasing. So I'm going to look up supplies and filter. And so say this is for that event and I bought some supplies and I want a reimbursement rate. So I'm sorry, no, that's not right. Say this is supplies for your organization. We're not doing reimbursements. I apologize. Say this is supplies for an event and you're buying it through Amazon on behalf of your organization. So I'm going to just click miscellaneous. And then I'm going to use that tool to fill in the rest. The rest of the FOPL. So generally for non-sport club organizations, it's 700-223. Student organizations. If you're a sports club, it's going to be a different code, like I said before. And then here, I'm going to enter in, 500,000, because generally these last three, generally, there are some instances, but we're not covering that today. And the last two fields are just 999, 999. And again, last one. Great. And then I'm going to save. And then the next thing I'm going to want to enter is a business purpose. And I'm going to put in the same kind of verbiage that I did before. So supplies for recruitment. And if you know the date, put that in too. I'm just going to throw something in 2/3/25. And then I'm going to click save. So over here on the side, I don't have any red, anything lit up in red telling me I'm missing anything. So I'm in good order. So now I'm going to say assign cart. And this is where I would search, you would search my name for student orgs. Freeman. Your Jamaicans for student organizations is who you would select on behalf of sport clubs. I'm sorry, sport clubs. I'm going to click my name for student orgs, Jared's for sports clubs, and then Chris Fishpaw will be for SGA. And then at this point, I would just click assign cart, and then the cart is going to come to me for approvals. And I look it over. If I have questions, I'll reach out to you. Other than that, that's how we've finished that. So coming back to the home page, I'm just going to point out too, if you're trying to do a reimbursement or pay someone with a check and you're trying to, you need to find out if they're a supplier, over here on the left, you can slide down to the supplier icon. That's these three heads huddled together. You can do a quick search to see if someone is in the system. If you can't find them, then you can slide to requests and request a new supplier. And here is where you will begin filling in the form. And again, I think that the financial management tool also guides you through this. I really can't proceed from here unless I'm actually putting someone in. So at any rate, you can do this on behalf of someone if you need to, or you can direct a student to Runway and have them do it themselves. If you do it on behalf of someone else, I ask that you, or I suggest that you contact that individual and let them know that Runway will be sending them an email that they need to complete. And that's just basically going to be their taxable information that is required by the university to set them up. And then once that gets submitted, everything's in good order, then you should be the supplier should be good to go, and then you can proceed with paying them out, whether reimbursement or check request or other. So I'm thinking at this point, if we're going to use Chrome River, also I should mention, the tool will walk you through that. I don't want to spend a lot of time on demos. But I do have Chrome River up real quickly here. The tool link you here, as I said. And if you're not sure how to use it, not only does the tool have instructions on it, but also Chrome River has instructions. They have expense reimbursements and other things. This is the area that you'd be using the most. So they've got some quick starts and some other functions. So if the tool isn't helping you, please try the homepage of Chrome River. And again, the tool will link you here should you need to use that. So at this point, we are done with this training. I'm going to put up this attendance, the quiz for attendance. So again, if you miss the training in person and you're needing to get credit for your org's attendance, you need to click on this, either scan the QR code or go to this URL directly. Please have this quiz done by January 31st. Otherwise, it may impact your org's ability to spend some money. So you must be logged into UD email to access the quiz. It's a Google form. You need to score at least 18 out of 20 points to get credit. You are allowed to try it multiple times if needed. Again, that deadline is next Friday, the 31st. And if you are here, attending on behalf of multiple orgs, again, please indicate that when it asks for which org you're representing, put in all the orgs you're here for. Usually, sometimes students are involved in 2 orgs, so be sure that you're putting in everybody you're attending for so that every org gets credit, right? If you have any questions, you can email studentorgsmoney@udayton.edu. Please let me know your name, mention the organization you're representing, and then you can begin your inquiry. So, hopefully this training has been helpful today. Again, if you're trying to navigate processes and you're trying to, and you're hung up, we consistently will suggest that you start with that financial management tool before you reach out to us. But again, if you get hung up, please do not hesitate. We are happy to help you as you learn the processes. So get this on a slideshow. So I'll post this here quickly. Again, thanks for your attendance today. Good luck with this semester and contact us if you need us.